We're live. What's up, all you weekend warriors? Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Night Stream. Tonight, I'm not alone.
Hello, guys. Guess who's back?
Kenman Ride Play Art is going to be joining me very shortly for a very early Sunday night stream. He is, of course, joined by me, El Chizzy Reviews, who's been your host for the past few weeks. Tonight, we're going to cover a few different topics. I want to just say something real quick. Yes, for this stream, having a bit of a drink. We're not going to monetize this stream. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go into my settings right after this and make sure that whatever video spawns from this is demonetized. Other than that, it's like, that's pretty much it. So, tonight, we are going to be talking about, we're going to start with a movie that came out quite recently that's been the cause of a lot of discussion on the internet, and that would be Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes. Shall I start with it?
Well, let's give everyone a spoiler warning first. If you're, this is probably going to take up a good chunk of the stream. So, if you haven't seen the movie and plan to, then just you're going to have to click out of this video. I'm sorry, but there's no way you're getting through this stream without spoilers.
Massive spoiler. In 10 seconds, we will start. And go. You've been warned.
Okay, so Spider-Man Homecoming is essentially where Spider-Man's story picks up after the Civil War event.
It opens up. Well, first the opening. Let's start with the beginning, actually, because it opens up after the credits with what we're about to talk about. So it starts off in. It says 8 years ago. Now, assuming that the events of Avengers did not take place in 2011, we can assume it was about 08 or no 09, 010 because everything happened. We started within 08, I think, right? The wars took place in 08 and everything too.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wise.
Anyways, it starts after the aftermath of the
Civil War event.
No, I mean the opening, the prologue. The Battle of New York, salvaging.
Oh yeah, it does start off in the Battle of New York, and then it's like it goes into like Peter's video diary.
Yes.
No, actually, it is after the events of Civil War, but they're still cleaning up.
Yeah. Well, no, the events, what happened in, it said 8 years ago. So this was with.
Oh, true. So it would be right after.
Yeah.
Actually, can we talk about this scene for a minute? Can we talk about this scene for a minute where we see the cleanup crew?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to just talk about these characters real quick because they are very accurate and very believable depictions of the disgruntled blue-collar worker. Because they're there, they're trying to make their paycheck. They're getting paid by the city to get rid of all this garbage. And then, someone comes along and says, hey, your contract's been taken. You're not getting paid for this. You might as well leave. And they needed this big payoff. And they did include the one guy who just really wasn't good at his job. There's one in every blue-collar crew. If you've worked on a construction team or a road work team or in a garage, you know who that person is.
And guess what he calls himself?
The Shocker. We'll get into that later.
Yes, we will.
So yeah, they get their job taken away from them, so they can't work on this site anymore, which was going to be their biggest paycheck ever. And then, of course, they find that there's still a bit of alien junk left over in their truck that they forgot to hand over.
Yeah.
And so the first logical decision was open a criminal weapons manufacturing and dealership ring. That was the logical conclusion in that situation.
Yeah.
Then we get into Peter's video diary.
Yes. Peter, it's a video diary of first for part of it's first person, part of it isn't, but his like oh wow experience of getting first class on a plane, and then he's going to use in Civil War while he's annoying the heck out of Happy Hogan.
The whole time I was watching that video diary, I was thinking this is exactly what Kenny would do.
This is exactly what I do, yeah.
I think this version of Peter Parker is a lot like you.
Yes. If I was accepted into the Power Rangers, I'd be doing this, filming the picture it. I was picturing this as an alternate universe. So the original teenagers are all adults now as Mighty Morphin. I'm the next generation pulled in, and or no, even better, the Showa Riders, and I'm pulled in as a new rider. I doing this with all their identities at stake, just going, oh wow, this is amazing.
And you know what's weird is it's kind of like that for all of us being Generation 2 of the world's reviewers.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I actually may take inspiration from that for my review character also.
Yeah, actually, I've got an idea I want to talk to you about. There's an idea I want to talk to you about after the stream tonight.
Okay.
So, we do get to see a couple of very classic Spider-Man villains that we haven't seen on film before, I think, show up.
Right.
We get to see the Shocker and we get to see the Vulture. Now, the Shocker is, of course, as we mentioned, the guy who always shows up late, does half his share of the work, and then leaves with a full paycheck.
Yeah.
I know a few people like that. Anyway, so, I mean, this is a regular thing, an everyday thing. This guy is lazy.
Yeah. And he's an ass.
But he calls dibs on an electric punching tool, and so he calls himself the Shocker and wears like a Letterman jacket with the quilted sleeves, like the Shocker's actual suit, minus the mask.
Mm-hmm.
He
wasn't the only one who wore one though, because there was a second guy.
Well, yeah, I guess he took his jacket or something. Regardless of that, the Vulture, his reason for flying now, his wings don't look anything like the feathery stuff you see in the comics or cartoons. It's actual aerial flight equipment with I like this decision. He wore a flight jacket with the fur and a breather mask, which I think was a good take on it because it includes the kind of fluffy feathers that the original Vulture had in his comic.
Yeah.
But that's about where the similarities end, I think. But you can definitely tell he is supposed to be the Vulture.
And the casting choice is amazing, too.
Oh, yeah, I love that Donald Glover made an appearance in this. Do you know why he made an appearance in this?
Why?
Do you remember a stink a while ago raised by fans over whether or not Peter Parker could be black?
I think so, yeah.
Well, someone mentioned Donald Glover's name. It's like, well, why don't we make Donald Glover the new actor for Spider-Man? He's like, I would love to be Spider-Man. And then people were like, and this is according to Donald Glover, someone left a comment saying, why would you do that? That's like making a white version of Shaft. And, of course, Donald responded with, yes, please. But what's interesting is that whole controversy caused the creation of the new Spider-Man character, Miles Morales. Who is Spider-Man. He is a Spider-Man who wears a black suit.
Yeah.
So now, in the comic series... Pardon?
Which one is Donald Glover in the movie? Who does he play?
The guy who gets his hand webbed to the trunk.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
I think that's him. I know his name appeared in the credits. No,
Glover.
No, that wasn't Donald Glover.
Donald Glover was in Predator, wasn't he? Predator 2?
No. I think he's much too young to be in that.
Okay.
He's actually got a. Listen, just go on Netflix and look up Donald Glover. I know one of his stand-up specials. He talks about this whole thing. Anyway, the character. My facts are not absolute word. I could be very wrong about this. Come to think of it, I'm having a hard time bringing up what Donald Glover looks like in my head right now. No, he couldn't have been the guy who got his hand wiped at the trunk because Donald Glover's skinnier than that.
We have. Let's talk about the guy for a minute while we're doing it.
Yes, he was caught in a deal with this, wasn't he? He was caught in a deal with the Shocker.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I don't.
Yeah,
so this actor, this character, who I don't think got a name. Well, he got a name, but it was like it was really very brief. Not very memorable at all as far as like they didn't drive the name home, which I felt was unfortunate because I feel like this character is going to appear again.
He was just a common stick-up hoodlum who was looking for a low-key weapon for stick-ups, and the way he acted, he looked like he was constantly on drugs. You know what I mean? Like,
he didn't have that look to me. I think he was just very, very tired with everything.
Okay, that could be.
I do like though how we saw immediately through Peter's interrogation mode.
Oh yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen the movie, and you're still watching, first of all, shame on you. Secondly, interrogation mode is just where Peter's voice is modulated to sound way deeper. They essentially hit the overdrive and the bass boost on his voice. I think this character is going to show up again, just because of like how grateful he was to Spider-Man for saving his life. I think he's going to show up at least one more time. I think he might be Miles Morales. See, that's the problem that I had with that scene. Is like the point where they had his name was so short that I can't remember it.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was Miles Morales.
If it wasn't Miles Morales, then that's a very sad thing because I think it would be awesome to have two Spider-Men.
They could do a Spider-Verse thing to pull that off, though.
They could do a Spider-Verse thing, but in the comics, the two Spider-Men stand side by side, and just the two of them for a scene.
That's
where
true.
Peter Parker looks at Miles and says, "He's the Amazing Spider-Man." Now I'm hoping Donald tries to push for a little more of a presence in any part he appears in next. I hope he has that kind of creative control. Because while I can't remember what he looks like, I've listened to a lot of his stand-up bits, and he's funny.
Honestly, I thought R.J. Cyler would have been a good Miles Morales. R.J. Cyler was Billy Cranston in the Power Rangers movie.
Oh, I still haven't seen the Power Rangers movie. I apologize, but I have seen the actor. I've seen the actor you're talking about. The reason I would like it to be Donald Glover, though, is because it was kind of... He was the one who got the whole idea, who inspired the Miles Morales character.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it'd be epic for him to play Miles Morales, but if his name wasn't Miles Morales... And either way, I do love their depiction of high school life. Can I just mention that real quick? Okay, so how many times has it been in movies where high school life was overly romanticized?
Every time.
Exactly. But this time it felt more real. Not only because they had actual teenagers playing the teenagers, but I swear to God, it was filmed in an actual high school. And they were just using props they found around the high school to film. Like the big clunky hall pass that Peter's holding.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that reminds me of one memorable scene in the movie. Remember when he's in detention?
When he's in detention and okay, they really love those Captain America inspirational videos in this universe.
Yes, they're a huge slap. I love how it's just a slap in the face that
because
story going.
yeah, Captain America is a war criminal now.
Yes. And did that is you notice the whole joke that schools always have like they're like a generation behind with
At least one generation behind with technology. Yes.
Like you have when I was in elementary school, the coach would always play these Arnold Schwarzenegger workout videos from like the 90s.
That sounds about right.
This is like the equivalent to that.
If it tastes good, spit it out.
That it was the equivalent to that. I swear. All the whole time when they were playing these Captain America PSAs, all I was thinking of were those Arnold Schwarzenegger PSAs from the 90s.
Yeah. It was a lot like that, actually. They had like a Captain America video for friggin' everything, didn't they?
There was one for gym practice. There was one for detention. There was even one for patience, which we'll get into later.
Yep. Really, we didn't see many of the other MCU characters, just mostly the characters in the Spider-Verse right now.
Iron Man was in there.
Yes, but like only in brief bursts.
Well,
just
also,
to kind of get the idea across that he is Peter's father figure right now.
What's funny is that what's funny also is that he's like he didn't really take drastic measures to deal with the criminal, the Vulture, in them, because he felt they were unworthy of being faced by the Avengers or something like that.
Well, essentially, it's just like they weren't a big enough threat.
Yeah.
But then he mentioned like there was another group of people that was a little bit under the Avengers' pay grade that would be okay to deal with this. I think that was a reference to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ah, yeah.
Now, the thing is, the reason that the reason that makes me like shake my head is because right now, because I haven't watched in a while, but as far as I'm aware, S.H.I.E.L.D. has the Ghost Rider on their team.
Yes, they have the Ghost Rider on their team, yeah.
If that is not Avengers level shit, I'm not entirely sure Tony has this under control.
Yeah, that's Avengers level.
This boy is being possessed. Hellfire is spewing out of his skull and his car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would move Robbie Reyes
above a common.
Yeah, let's get him working with the Vision or Scarlet Witch. Or friggin', you know what? I want to see a crossover between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where Robbie Reyes meets Doctor Strange.
Definitely.
Because Doctor Strange is well-versed in magic in multiple dimensions. What does Robbie Reyes have to deal with on a nightly basis?
Oh, from hell.
Anna says hello.
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 Which one's Anna?
I can't remember which one. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Robbie Reyes, though, like in the actual comics, was not being possessed by the same spirit that turned Johnny Blaze into the Ghost Rider. As a matter of fact, it's Robbie Reyes's psychopathic uncle who possesses him.
Oh, okay. So speaking of Robbie Reyes, are you excited to go with Robbie Reyes instead of getting Nicolas Cage back as Johnny
Ghost Rider? I'm actually excited for the Robbie Reyes character to appear, because the Johnny. Oh, it's Miss Mio. Oh, hi. From Amino.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for joining us. I'm I'm excited that the Robbie Reyes character has shown up because we've seen the Johnny Blaze character done over.
Yeah, that's true. Hello? You there? Your voice faded out. Everything okay? Well, until El Chizo gets back. Wait. Okay, he's fixing it. While he's fixing that, I'll continue on Ghost Rider. I think Nicolas Cage would be good to come back. I liked him as Johnny Blaze, and Robbie Reyes existing in the same universe. That's all I can say about the Ghost Rider part. Yeah, I did like that subtle reference where Tony Stark. There are people in our pay grade that we would face before we do face the Vulture, so that was cool. But I found ridiculous